Greetings from New York City. I'm Phil and we're running the bridges. This is a video series where we visit all the bridges in New York City that you can run across. The big, the small, the old, the new, the world famous icons, and the ones you've never even heard of. And today we have a real special treat because we are visiting the Henry Hudson Bridge. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? The Henry Hudson Bridge crosses the Spuyten Duyvil Creek and connects Manhattan with the Bronx, the very northern tippity top of Manhattan. So over on that side, on the south, that's Inwood Hill Park in Inwood neighborhood of Manhattan, and on the north over there is the Spuyten Duyvil Creek, or Spuyten Duyvil neighborhood of the Bronx. And this waterway is the Spuyten Duyvil Creek, or it's part of the Harlem River Ship Canal. And I'll get a little bit in that in a second, but just a little bit of information about the bridge. You can see it's a steel arch bridge. It was built between 1935 and 1936 to carry the brand new Henry Hudson Parkway from Manhattan into the Bronx. The steel arch and main span is 841 feet. Total length of the total bridge, 2208. And it was originally constructed with just one level, as you can see there. But the second level was added in 1938. And so currently the top level carries 3 lanes of traffic northbound into the Bronx. The lower level contains 3 levels of traffic southbound into Manhattan, and the lower level also contains the pedestrian bike walkway. And I will get up to there in just a minute, but I want to give you a little bit of information about Inwood Hill Park and where I'm standing right now and this whole waterway system. So, like I said, that's a Spuyten Duyvil Creek. It flows underneath and it goes over that way and flows on and eventually just joins the Harlem River. And, you know, people generally sometimes call this whole thing the Harlem River or the Harlem River Ship Canal. But initially that's Spuyten Duyvil Creek. And it went up basically from the Harlem River. It went up, way up to like where 230th Street is now, snaked all the way down, joined like where the Spuyten Duyvil Creek is. And at one point it was very narrow, very shallow, and dipped all the way down and then came back up and went out to the Hudson River. But by the late 1800s, people were deciding they wanted to dredge this and straighten it to make it more accessible for commercial shipping, especially with the opening of the Erie Canal. So this way that ships coming from the Hudson River could navigate their way over to the Harlem River and to Long Island Sound without having to go all the way around Manhattan. From 1888 to 1895, the Harlem River Ship Canal was dredged, big chunk of land blasted out, and it lopped off a little piece of Manhattan, a little neighborhood that for a number of years was actually its own separate island. That was the Marble Hill neighborhood. And but they did dredge that channel so that larger boats could come straight from the Harlem River up. And the original course of the Spuyten Duyvil Creek, actually, you can see, see the bridge behind me, and it went like there. All right, so this, right along the hillside, that was the original course of the Spuyten Duyvil Creek. Dips off to the south. And right now, it's a little cove, it's a little bay, because by 1938, they decided that they wanted to chop off another big piece of land so that it could be straight all the way across. It didn't have that dip to the south. And so the current Spuyten Duyvil Creek Ship Canal, Harlem River Ship Canal, goes from here up there, cuts through there. So it's more of a straight line from the Hudson River all the way to the Harlem River. And this little piece of land where I'm standing now, this is part of Inwood Hill Park. And the reason it was not initially blasted out was because it was the site of a foundry, an ironworks, Johnson Iron Works, and it was founded in 1853. They supplied a lot of armaments for the U.S. military, especially during the Civil War and going forward. And they decided that, no, we need to keep this land intact for that. And plus, it was a major undertaking to blast through. You see that cliff face where the sea is? That was all blasted out. But then by the 1920s, the foundry was closed, and so this piece of land where I'm standing now, this is like where that foundry was located. And it's now in Inwood Hill Park, and it's technically still, there is still a little bit of a canal cut through here. The land was mostly filled in to connect it to Manhattan, and you can easily walk across. But there is a little canal that's still cut through there, so technically it's still a little separate piece of land. A little unclear whether this is actually part of the Bronx, though, because that little neighborhood of Manhattan that I was telling you about, the Marble Hill neighborhood, the original Spite and Devil Creek that separated it from the Bronx, which is very narrow and shallow, that was eventually filled in, making Marble Hill physically connected to the Bronx, physically connected to the neighborhood, to the mainland, even though it's still technically, politically part of Manhattan. One of the great geographic quirks of New York City. So I'm wondering if this little piece of land is actually still technically, politically part of the Bronx, even though there's no residences, there's no businesses, it's just a little piece of parkland with some ball fields, picnic areas, and a very nice little nature center over there. But that's a little bit about this area here. Now we're going to go into the park, and I'm going to show you how to get up to the bridge, because the entrance to the bridge for pedestrians is just by taking the park pathway. So we're going to go on some of these park pathways. You can take any of the pathways, eventually get there, but there are two main simple ways to get there, and I'll show you those. So pause, and we'll be right back. Okay, so before we head up to the bridge entrance, I just want to show you something else here. So we're still on this peninsula, this little piece of land, and right behind me you can see this is the bridge, and here's the little canal. It's kind of cut in there, so it still kind of separates. This is the original route, the course of the Spite and Devil Creek, and over there, so now it's like a cove or a bay, and over here is like a wetlands. But one other important feature, this is also the location of the Columbia University Athletic Complex. And that's why that great big C that I showed you before, that was Columbia students who put that up there in 1952, and it's been repainted ever since. It's a big tradition. But this is Columbia University, that's their football stadium. And there's a football stadium and track. They have baseball, tennis, and that's their row house right down there. So that's the dock where their rowing team comes and practices. And what's of interest of this for runners is that the track around the football stadium is sometimes open to the public. And right behind me, the street behind me, that's 218th Street and Indian Road. 218th Street, you can access that from Broadway. And so if you want to do speed work, if you want to do ladders, 200 meter, 400 meter, 800 meter repeats, you might be able to go and use the track around the Columbia University football field. There's a guardhouse right there on 218th Street. Just ask them if it's open to the public. I'm not sure what the hours are. I don't think it's regular hours. I think it's just whenever it's available. So you might have a good chance of coming in there doing some speed work before you head up into the hills, as we are going to do. Okay, so we've made our way to the other side of the bay. You can see right over there, that's where we were standing before. We just kind of went around boop, 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 on the sidewalk. And again, behind me is Indian Road, 218th Street. That's the nearest street entrance to where I'm here. This entire park spans from Indian Road, that's up like where 218th Street is, Seaman Avenue. It goes all the way down to Dyckman Street, and then, of course, the Hudson River on the west. And it's an absolutely gorgeous park. I mean, we're in luck because we just had some fresh snowfall, and it's just like gorgeous going here today with the snow here. And I consider it, like, I call it one of the three parks in the triple crown of parks of New York City. That being Fort Tryon Park, which is just south of us, Inwood Hill Park here where we are, and then High Bridge Park, and we'll hit that in another video when we're doing a different bridge. But so here, come in from the water a little bit, and we're about to enter the pathway, and you can see how high, no matter how you do it, you know, any of these pathways will eventually make their way up to the bridge entrance if you want to. But no matter what, you have to climb, because you saw that's 143 feet clearance above the river. So that's what, like 143 feet of climbing, more or less. So here, I just want to show you one other little touristy spot. I don't want to do too much about Inwood Hill Park, but this is historical point, Shirakapak Rock. And this is, as legend has it, the spot of the tulip tree where Peter Minuit bought Manhattan from the Lenape way back in the 1600s. But that's the spot where the transaction took place. There used to be a tulip tree there, and now there's a rock with a plaque commemorating it. And we are just entering the pathway from that spot. You head to the right, head to the north, stay along the water, and I'm going to pause this here, and I'll show you a little bit farther on just so you can see where we are. Okay, and like I said, I didn't want to make this video too much about the park itself, because that's a different video. I'm really supposed to be talking about the bridge, but highly recommended for runners. It's a gorgeous park. It's like the last forest land in Manhattan, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Lots of opportunities for hill running. Most of the paths are paved. Most of them are smooth, very easy to run on. There are also some trails, some off-road trails. Not a big extensive system by any means, but there are some trails. You can really get a good workout. Gorgeous views, beautiful views of the Hudson River and the New Jersey Palisades. And I'll insert a couple of these videos that I took over this video as well, just so you can see it. But also, now that we're just a little bit higher up, I want to show you like where we were before. So you can see that little piece of land sticking out there. That's where we were before. You can see the big sea there. And that down there, that's where the old course, you can kind of see how the creek used to run and how the Harlem River Ship Canal runs now, and how that was all cut out. A little bit of a nice bird's eye view of all of that. All right, so now we're on the pathway underneath the bridge. You can see we're doing a little bit of a climb here, but you can also really get up close and personal with this bridge. And it's gorgeous. And of course, there's the Hudson River and the New Jersey Palisades over across the river. Now, if you're going from this direction, you hit this point where you're directly underneath the bridge, and you can go straight to access the rest of the park. But to get to the bridge entrance, you turn left, sharp left here, and continue on this pathway, continue uphill, and right here, we're going to make another quick right. So a sharp left and then a sharp right. And I will pause it again and get back to you when we get to the entrance. Okay, so now here we are at the other main way to get to the bridge entrance. If you're coming from the south or coming from the west and want to make the west approach, I'm standing right now on Dyckman Street at the very western terminus of Dyckman Street. You can see there's the Hudson River right there. And even if you look, there's a entryway, there's a little dock you can go out to walk on. But this is the very western edge of Dyckman Street. And the park entrance for Inwood Hill Park, right behind me right there. And if you go about a quarter mile or so, you'll get to a overpass that goes over the railroad tracks. And I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to first show you a little bit, just a couple of things about this area. And you see behind me these bridges. That is the Amtrak bridge right there. And directly behind it is the southbound, there's Amtrak bridge, the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway bridge. They're right close to each other. But you see behind that, isn't that nice? That arch, that stone arch, concrete arch bridge, that's the northbound lanes for Henry Hudson Parkway. We're not going to be doing that in the bridge series. I'm only doing bridges actually to go over water. That's one of the things, but I mean, wow, it's a gorgeous bridge. But just a couple other things for runners to take note of. If you look on the south side, okay, you see here the Hudson, a restaurant cafe. At one time, that was La Marina, which used to be kind of like a celebrity hangout spot, believe it or not. But you see just to the south of that, you see a greenway entrance. That dead ends. Just give you fair warning. It's a nice, smooth run. It's nice, you know, it runs along the river. It's quiet, but it does dead end. You have to turn around and come back. But you can get some nice views of the river if you want to go and sit and be by yourself and be kind of quiet. But I will show you another greenway entrance that is of more significance. Okay, and it looks like they've reopened it too. So this is the main greenway that goes along Henry Hudson Parkway and Riverside Drive. So if you're coming, if you want to go down the west side of Manhattan from here, or if you're coming from the west side, this is where you want to enter. And it's also part of the Empire State Trail, which goes all the way up to Canada. Well, that way goes up to Canada. But this way goes down. But this is the, like if you want to go down the west side, take this pathway here. And otherwise, yeah, that's Dyckman Street, and then we'll see you inside the park. We've come partway through the park. I just want to pause for a minute here because this is one of my favorite places in the entire city. Just a gorgeous place. I love to come here. I live not far from here, but right by the river. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I had my 40th birthday party picnic here on these in this picnic area. Just to pause for a little bit of relaxation. Okay, so then we've come through the park a little ways, and you can see they're doing a little construction here. But we will come up to, you will see this overpass. This goes over the railroad track. So we're going to go up there. I'm going to take you over. I'm going to have to show and flip the camera around. But here, I just want to show you this also. Little map. Just so you can see, we are here. Dyckman Street was down here. Dyckman Street was down here. We came up, and we're about to go up there. And earlier in the video, we were over here, and we went up and around like that. All right, so I'm going to flip this around, and I'll take you up and show you this overpass. All right, so we're going up, and be careful because in the wintertime, if there's snow and ice, you can see they don't really clean it off, except from people walking on it. But, so it goes over the Amtrak, and again, that's Amtrak. It goes up to Albany and Montreal. But you get up here and you get a nice view. Just nice views everywhere here. All right. And careful because we got some steps on this side. All right. And you come across, there's a tunnel entrance over to the right. We're not taking that to get to the bridge, but like I said, I highly recommend coming up here and exploring, taking all these pathways. We get up here, and we are going to go straight, and then I will show you how to go from there. Oh, I love the sound of the trains, right? All right, and then you will come to this fork in the pathway. And you can see where we are in relation to the river. All right, and which way do you think we go? Maybe? This way. We're going up. We're going to do some climbing. Take the right. Okay, so we're at the very tippity top of the hill. Now, if you've run this bridge before, that's where we would go. We don't go there no more. This is brand new. We go just right down there. So we're going to go right down there. And we are at the bridge entrance. And this is very exciting because even if you've run this bridge before, I guarantee this is brand new because this was brand new for me just the other day when I came here. The old entrance was just right up there at the top of that little rise. They've recently redone the walkway and bikeway for this bridge, which is incredible. I'll do that as we're going. But here's the entrance now. So this is a little bit down. This just opened up. And this is a much improved bike and walkway. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it just so I can flip it around so you can see what I'm seeing. But I'm going to go and tell a little bit more about this walkway. Okay, so we're back and we're going up the walkway. And like I said, this was just recently redone. Now, this is a toll bridge for vehicles. And there used to be a great big toll plaza right behind me for these southbound cars going into Manhattan. So you had the big wide area and you had traffic back up. You had 4 lanes of traffic. Like I said, the lower level was the original level built on the bridge. You had 2 lanes each way. And then when they added the second level, you had 4 lanes going into Manhattan. And in 2013, they decided to use this bridge as like the pilot project for electronic toll taking. So they got rid of the toll booths and toll takers. And when you don't have that big toll plaza, you don't need these extra lanes because the Henry Hudson Parkway only has 3 lanes southbound in the Bronx, 3 lanes southbound in Manhattan. So you don't need 4 lanes on the bridge. So they got rid of 1 lane of traffic and widened this. If you've run this bridge before, you know it used to be like half of what this is now. Now look how much space you have. The bikes can freely ride across. Pedestrians, walkers, runners, bicyclers, everybody can just, it's great. But I mean, look at this view. That's the Spite and Duyvil neighborhood of the Bronx. And you look down there along the water, that's the train station. That's the Spite and Duyvil Metro North train station on the Hudson River line. And look at those buildings, just gorgeous buildings. And we'll kind of get a little bit closer look at some of those in a little bit also. And there's the Hudson River and the New Jersey Palisades. And now down there is the Spite and Duyvil Bridge. It's a railroad-only bridge. That is for Amtrak. That's the Amtrak line that goes up to Albany. and you can see that it's a little out of focus because of this chain link fence. But you can see that it's a drawbridge. It's a swing bridge because you can see the pier in the middle there. And this is actually one drawbridge that frequently opens. This opens, they say, about 1,000 times a year. This is about 3 times a day. And unfortunately, we just missed a Circle Line boat going through, so you could have seen it in the open position. And like I said, the whole Highland River Ship Canal was constructed to aid in commercial shipping. Commercial shipping never really materialized, well, with railroads and then trucking. Circle Line is about the only real boat that goes through here these days. But just look at that view. Look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to pause again, and then we'll see you in the Bronx. All right, so we've just come off the bridge, and again, this is a brand new entrance on the Bronx side. Now, this new pathway only opened up late last year, like late 2024. The specific Manhattan entrance, brand new. This Bronx entrance, this is late last year also. So this is the new Bronx entrance, and this is Henry Hudson Parkway West. It's a feeder road, service road. And we have a crosswalk, so it's clear. And we're going to go down right over there to Independence, Kapok Street, and Henry Hudson Park. So we'll be right back. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I had a little technical issue with one of the video clips, but just as I was entering Henry Hudson Park at Independence Avenue and Kapok Street, I was going to mention how the bridge was conceived of seriously going back as early as 1904, and they had hoped to have the bridge built by 1909 in time for the 300th anniversary of Henry Hudson's exploration of the North River, which of course is now called the Hudson River. And they were going to build a big monument on the Bronx side with a big column and the statue of Henry Hudson on the top. And it didn't quite get done in time for the 300th anniversary, but before we finish up in Henry Hudson Park, I'm going to show you a little video clip I did down on Palisade Avenue, just a block away from Henry Hudson Park, just to show you a little bit of some of the Bronx area. Okay, so now we don't have a really great shot, but there is the bridge from the Bronx side, and we're on, now what we did from where we were, we continued on Kapok Street, like another block past the park, onto Palisade Avenue, and Palisade Avenue is really incredible, because it's almost like a quiet country road kind of a thing, but you can just see, you know, like I said, and well, just look at the views, and it's just absolutely incredible. And like I said, the Inwood Hill Park is a great opportunity to do some hill work, but you come to the Bronx and you can really do some hill work too, because like I said, this is a train station. You can make your way on the streets down to the Spuyten Duyvil train station and head back up. It's a good steep climb. There's just lots of great hills, lots of great places. There's a step street on 230th Street, like a big nasty climb. It's great. And even if you keep going on Palisade Avenue a little ways down, or a little ways up, a little ways north, you hit Riverdale Park once you enter the Riverdale neighborhood. You hit Riverdale Park, and there you do have a more extensive system of trails. So you can do some off-road. It's not real technical, but it's some good enjoyable trail running. And like I said, Palisade Avenue, you know, sometimes it seems like a nice quiet country road, except for the big trucks that occasionally pass by. But hey, look at these buildings. These apartment buildings are just cool. It's like kind of like a fairy tale. And because you can see, get another good view of the river. Get another good view of the river over there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. All right, so I'm going back up into Henry Hudson Park then, and we'll finish it out. All right, so we're back in Henry Hudson Park. We got a better view of the column and the statue. Like I said, they're trying to get all this done by 1909, by the 300th anniversary. But the column did go up in 1912. The statue didn't get placed until 1938 after the construction of the parkway and the bridge. And I think it was meant to like stand over the parkway as like a big monument. And you probably can't see it from the roadway. The roadway is not too far away. It's just right behind me, right over there. But it's a really nice monument in any case. And nice monument. It's an incredible bridge. Thank you all for watching this video. Again, like I highly recommend for runners coming up to Inwood Hill Park, Northern Manhattan, Spuyten Duyvil, Riverdale neighborhoods of the Bronx. Great place to run. It's an incredible bridge. One of the great resources for runners. And so I really sincerely hope to see you up here. And but until then, we'll see where the wind takes us for the next bridge. Thank you for watching.